Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about an issue that probably is agonizing a lot of Indians. And that issue is the question of why Narendra Modi was not invited to the G7 summit. By now, you must have seen the headlines of nearly every major media outlet in India. The story is that Prime Minister Modi has not been invited to the G7 summit that is going to be held in Canada from June 15th. G7, let me tell you something about G7. G7 is a group of the world's seven richest liberal democracies. For a little while, it was G8. Russia was also included for a few years, but after Russia's Crimea adventure, Russia was expelled from G7 and it became from G8 and it became a G7 country. In fact, as some of you who have followed conversation for several years, you may recall that I have been advocating for several years that India should be included and it should become G8. So India is now the fourth biggest, if not the biggest economy in the world. It is bigger than France. It's bigger than Canada. It's bigger than Italy. It's bigger than three of the and Great Britain. So the only economy at the moment which are bigger than India in the G7 are US and Japan. So India is and Germany. So US. So India would be right in the middle. It's bigger than four and smaller than three economies there at the moment. So India deserves to be there. India is a liberal democracy and it is in the top eight. In fact, it is in the top four now or top five. So India should be there even if it is G5 and not G7. So it is a bit unfair for these countries not to include India right away. But since 2019, Prime Minister Modi has been attending G7 summits, and he's quite popular as he goes around taking selfies and hugging everybody that he meets at these events, has bilateral. And of course, the media in India goes gaga over all the attention that he's able to get from foreign leaders. But the question now is why was Narendra Modi not brought to G7? There is a simple answer and there is a complex answer. And as usual, for those of you who have come here for the first time, please subscribe to Conversations if you have not already done so. I'm going to make a presentation, which I'm going to try again and finish in 15 minutes at the or maybe go up to 20 minutes. And if I can't do that, I hope I can finish in 15 minutes. And then I will take your questions and answers. And as usual, those who are members of Conversations and those who submit super chats and super thanks will get priority in my answering their questions. So going forward, this is what I want to ask. Why was uh, Narendra Modi not invited to G7? There is a simple answer to it. You can accept that answer and be satisfied with it. And the simple answer is that the relationship between US, India, and Canada has not been very good. It went really sour under Trudeau when he was Prime Minister of Canada. And the issue was the accusation that Canada made that India's intelligence officers and the Indian government was involved in killing and assassinating Canadian citizens. Najjar was killed. A Khalistani activist. India considered him as a terrorist. But he was a Canadian citizen, and the Canadians maintained that he had freedom of expression, and so his advocacy for Khalistan was accepted by the Canadian government, not as an existential threat as India was seeing it as extremism and separatism and terrorism. So anyway, Nijjar was killed in Canada, and the Canadian government accused India. India denies it, even though India justifies it, but also denies having any role in it, that India is not involved in killing people outside, even though Prime Minister Narendra Modi has on many occasions hinted that India does do that. He uses the phrase, Ghar mein ghus ke marenge, we will find you in your houses and kill you in your homes. And there have been stories about how nearly 20 anti-India terrorists, former terrorists who were living in Pakistan, have been killed. And then there was this famous episode with Gurpatwant Singh Panno, a Khalistani of Canadian and American citizenship. And there was an attempt to kill him by an Indian, and he was eventually arrested, Nikhil Gupta, and he's in jail. So the United States was able to produce solid evidence and shared that with India, and India acknowledged it and said there was a rogue agent in RAW who was involved in trying to commit. So all of this happened during the Biden administration. The Trump administration has not brought this issue up at the moment, but Nikhil Gupta is still in prison. There were all these rumors in India that Trump had released Nikhil Gupta, but that is not true. He's still in prison in Manhattan, and the case is proceeding at its pace. But there has been no discussions, at least in public. If in private the Indian government is requesting that he be released or the case be shut down, I don't know what's happening with that. So the explanation, the simple explanation is that because the India and Canadian relationship went really sour after Canada made these accusations, Canada said that it needed India's help and cooperation to collect more evidence, and obviously India did not collaborate. And so India continues to maintain that it was not responsible for what happened in Canada, did not have, because Canada could not produce evidence that India wanted to see. It kind of sounds like what Pakistan is saying right now about Pahalgam. India is accusing Pakistan, and Pakistan is saying, "Where is the evidence for this?" And but with the U.S., India could not deny it, even though it continued to deny it till the U.S. basically arrested a person. And so then India said, "Okay, there was a secret inquiry, and a report was shared with the U.S." So the simple explanation is because Canada is now the host, Canada is the president of G7, and Canada has bad relations with India as a result of this. In fact, they don't have ambassadors in each other's countries. There are no high commissioners here. The Indian high commissioner was withdrawn, and so was the Canadian high commissioner from India. In fact, both the embassies have been shrunk. This is what India had done. There was suspension of visas, etc. So the relationship really got very sour between the two countries. And so that is a simple explanation. That's why Canada did not. Now the question was that this a lot of that was blamed on Trudeau and his connections to the Khalistani movement, his support from Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the National Democratic Party, who support the Liberals need to be in power. Carney also needs the support, but Jagmeet Singh lost elections. So while NDP is still part of the coalition, the same argument is now being made that because Carney needs the support of a party that is sympathetic to the Khalistan movement, obviously the government of Canada cannot make that constituency unhappy, and therefore Modi is not invited. Now, that is a simple invitation. Look, the foreign minister of Canada is an Indian Canadian. Okay. So the Canadian foreign minister, let me see if I can pull up her photograph. If I can, uh, her name is Anita Anand, and she used to be a professor, I think, uh, at the University of Toronto, and she is the new foreign minister. Anita Anand is her name, new foreign minister of Canada. She even spoke with Dr. Jaishankar on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and they thought they would be moving towards improving Canadian and Indian relations. There was no readout, at least I didn't see a readout as to what the main content was, but I think because she just became prime minister, foreign minister, she must have been making rounds, giving calls to some of the important countries. But you must also remember that in March, Canada hosted the G20's foreign ministers meeting, for which also Dr. Jaishankar was not invited. In the past, Dr. Jaishankar would attend the G20 foreign ministers meeting, and Prime Minister Modi, since 2019, has continuously attended all G20 summits, including G7 summits, even though India was not formally included in the G7 group. There is also another interesting thing that, if you notice, I have said this before, I've pointed it out, that the delegations that India has sent, Shashi Tharoor, for example, is handling North and South America, but he's not going to Canada. So that would have been a good opportunity for India to mend its relations with Canada, and perhaps even get an invitation to Prime Minister Modi to the G7 summit. These things are very important because these things make people in India think that something great is being achieved because he's invited. There was all this talk about how Modi was going to attend Donald Trump's inauguration, and there was a lot of hand wringing because all the talk about how great friends they are, and they love each other, and they support each other. But Trump did not invite Modi to the inauguration. In fact, Modi was not the first person he met with. He was the fourth head of state that Trump met with. And in fact, even Dr. Jaishankar was not invited. He came to represent India. And during those days, Jaishankar tried very hard here in the US, lobbying to get Narendra Modi invited to Donald Trump's inauguration, but he did not get the invite. Donald Trump personally invited Xi Jinping, who was the first person to be invited, but he did not invite. He invited Melania, he invited the president of Argentina, he invited, obviously, the president of Hungary and other allies, but he did not invite Narendra Modi. So, right now, you can say that in 2025, there have been two major events in the West that Prime Minister Modi has not been invited to. The question that is now raised is the world, especially Western countries, now shunning Modi, or is this something against India? That's the question. Is this anti-India, some kind of marginalization, or is this marginalization of Modi? I personally don't give a damn. If they don't want to meet Modi, they should send somebody else. They should have invited the foreign minister to come and represent. There have been a couple of occasions where Dr. Jaishankar has gone and attended. I think the SCO summit in Russia, I think, or one of this, Prime Minister Modi did not go, so Dr. Jaishankar went. So they could have sent Dr. Jaishankar, could have been invited. I mean, they could have made an informal request. But so that question is important. Is this something which is anti-India, or is this anti-Modi? But if you notice, uh, India is not the only pariah country with G7 now. And the reason for that is obviously India's continuous support to Russia, and India continuing to buy Russian oil. And if you notice, just yesterday, Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, said that there are a couple of things that India does that goes beneath our skin, gets under our skin, and irritates us. And one of the reasons he said was buying weapons from Russia, and the other reason he gave was India's membership in BRICS. And clearly, G7 sees BRICS as its challenger. But the question is that G7 countries, Great Britain, France, Germany, Italy, not Italy, but Japan to some extent, these countries are also upset with Donald Trump because of the tariffs. The Japanese are very upset because of the tariffs that have been imposed. They have been uh, expressing their unhappiness quite frequently. Canada, Britain, and France were on the verge of recognizing Israel. America has warned them. So, on the issue of Israel, their relationship is not good. All of Europe, remember, in G7, it's not that seven leaders show up, nine leaders show up. So, European Commission and European Union, two of the European leaders also show up. So, all of the Europeans are also very upset with Donald Trump. They don't like him. But nevertheless, he's invited, and he will show up. He's going to create a lot of ruckus there. I'm looking forward to seeing Donald Trump, what he does in Canada. He may say, "This is my first trip to the 51st state of America." That would be great if Donald Trump made that announcement going to Canada. So there is this argument that these countries invited Donald Trump, but did not invite Narendra Modi. Some people are arguing, and I heard a couple of analysts say that maybe Trump is putting pressure on Canada not to invite Narendra Modi. I think if Trump or anybody from the Trump administration had expressed a desire not to invite Modi, I think Canada would have gone forward and invited Modi just to show its strategic autonomy. Because it's not the 51st state of America. Trump can't dictate to Canada as he can dictate to Delaware or to Maryland. So I think if the Trump administration had hinted at not inviting Modi, I think Kanye would have done that just to piss off Trump and assert Canadian independence. So I don't think that the US was involved in either encouraging Canada to invite Narendra Modi or discouraging. What would be interesting is if the US encouraged Canada to invite Modi and Canada did not do that. But I don't think that is true. This would have been a great opportunity for Narendra Modi to meet with the G7 countries and heads of state and present India's case, the case that Shashi Tharoor is trying to make by meeting small, low level senators, the case that the other Indian delegations are trying to make to Guyana, to Sierra Leone, etc. There are some people in India who think we don't care about G7, we are India, we don't care about the world, we don't care. Well, those are idiots because if you don't care about the world and what it thinks, then why are you sending all these delegations? If not to convince the world about your importance or to you are seeking the approval and support of Sierra Leone, of Guyana, of Colombia, of Brazil, of Bahrain, of Kuwait, of Saudi Arabia, of Egypt. So you have sent this huge delegation, 7 delegations to 33 countries because you're seeking their opinion. So don't tell me that you don't care about the opinion of the richest countries in the world with whom you've been desperately trying to get free trade agreements. India is still negotiating the free trade agreement with Europe. India has just finished and successfully signed a free trade bilateral trade agreement with UK. There was one going on with Canada, which has been paused. And there's negotiations going on with the US for a bilateral trade agreement. So if India didn't care, then that would be a very stupid position to say. It's like saying the grapes are sour. But nevertheless, this could have been a great opportunity for Prime Minister Modi to meet Donald Trump and talk about the tariffs issue. There are some issues that are popping up with the negotiations, and it doesn't look as if a deal will be made before July 4th when the reciprocal tariffs kicking. Now it's a different thing that Trump may extend that deadline or he may back off. After all, he's earned a new nickname called Taco that Trump always chickens out. So he may chicken out or he may not. So those are some of the issues that are going on with Canada. And Trump not being able to, Modi not being able to go to G7. Uh, I think it is an insult to India. I really don't care about Modi, but I do care about India. And I think this is an insult to India. India is the biggest democracy. Yes, it is flawed, but so is the US, and so are many European countries. So there are very few perfect democracies. There are none, actually. So all democracies are flawed and struggling to remain democratic. So, and then India is undoubtedly, it may be a poor country with a very low GDP. India's GDP per capita is the lowest of all G20 countries and all BRIC countries. But its total GDP is now, this whole dispute whether India has already become the fourth biggest or will become fourth biggest by the end of it, whatever it is, 2025, India is the fourth biggest economy in the world and a democracy, and it deserves to be at a forum which is a forum for liberal democracies. So forget about not inviting India. I think it's time G7 became G8 and included India in it. But it is quite possible that it is Narendra Modi's and his personality. The magic has gone. The Modi magic is now working against India. I already published an article recently in the Diplomat. You also, I will share the link in the chat function, and you guys should read it because I think Modi's diplomacy, which is more designed to make him look great than India, is hurting India's national interest. And maybe promoting Modi and getting him votes and making him very popular with people who dance on the streets in Bihar and UP. But it is certainly not advancing India's interests, which became very, very apparent, mind you, when uh, uh, it became very apparent when very few countries actually stood up to support India. So I don't know why I'm not able to see the whole thing. Give me 1 second. And now I will start taking your questions and comments. Uh, so, all right. So, Scorpion, you were first. Even I think yesterday. Yeah, that's a funny comment. Non-biological entity not invited to G7. Maybe G7 is only for human beings. So, so obviously non-biological entity. Shirish, welcome. Thank you very much. Shirish is a member of Conversation. Highly appreciated. Logos Sentinel. Salam alaikum. Oh, you are from Canada, Logos. So this must be a lot of fun to you. Uh, let us know if there is some inside information. I spoke to a couple of Canadians today, and one of them was telling me his name is also Khan. His name is, well, I shouldn't take his name. He's a good friend of mine, and he told me that he lives like just a few houses away from Foreign Minister Anand, and he knows her personally. So I said, can we invite her to? But I don't think on this issue she's going to come and join us. So yes, here is the link I'm able to share in the chat. And look at that piece where I make this argument that the diplomacy that India has been conducting is more interested in going after the diaspora and converting them to BJP supporters, and also making Modi look great back home, not really advancing India's national interests, but advancing Modi's image. That's my point. That's why when the moment of crisis came, nobody stood with India. There were at least three countries that stood with Pakistan. Saurav Pandeji, thank you very much for coming again. Good morning to you too. Jess, I read the Indian side is concerned about the security provided by Canadian side. What are your thoughts? I think that is rubbish. India was not invited. So what about the security issues? Jess, if India was invited and Modi said, we are not confident about the security that they will provide, and so we will not come. Look, the Donald Trump security is going to be there. They're going to be staying in the same hotel probably, and so there will be the British security and a lot of it. So it would be a very silly point to make. I don't think so at all. But he was not invited, and so that's fine. What are you talking about, sir? It is totally confusing. Vipan Puri, I'm talking about the fact that Narendra Modi was not invited to G7 summit, which starts on June 15th in Canada. And there's a lot of hue and cry in India. Lots of media people are talking about why India is not invited. And India has been consistently invited since 2000. Manmohan Singh, when he was prime minister, used to attend G7 meetings. And then when G8 was there, even that time, you can see Manmohan Singh being invited. Then from 2019 onwards, Modi also has attended every G7 summit except this one. So the mystery is why. Is it just because of Canada, or there's a lot more going on? Is the Western world now shunning Modi and India because of India's close relationship with BRICS and because of India's close relationship with Russia? So India's attempt for multi-alignment has failed. So increasingly, Western countries are now punishing India for buying Russian oil, trying to de-dollarize, etc. That's the question. Is it just because of Canada, or there are bigger issues? Is it just because of Modi, or it's also that they are avoiding India? Uh, okay, Vishwaguru is now Vishwa liar. Nurul Huda. Well, India has lied in the past. I mean, they keep denying that they killed Niger, and then the domestic population is very proud of the fact that they did. So it's like a double speak. They are conveying to the local population कि हमने घर में घुस के मारा है, we have entered their homes and killed them. And then internationally they are denying it, and everybody knows which is a lie because the US caught Indian agents in the last 3 years. If you can Google this, it's in newspapers. Australia, Germany, uh, US, and Canada have all kicked out India's raw agents from all the embassies in the past 3-4 years. So, in many ways, you could say that India's capacity for intelligence gathering in some of the Western countries has been diminished because they were spying on the diaspora. These people, especially in Australia, spies on Indians who live abroad, not necessarily on the local countries. Uh, Saxena Saab, thank you for coming again. You are beginning to become a regular. So, what's your take on the rise of CDU in Germany as a barometer for the sentiment in Europe? Christian Democrats, I, they're not on the rise. They just managed to sneak in. I think the right wing parties are rising in Europe across the board. You can see what happened in Poland recently. Elections, Hungary is one model. It's only in UK that Starmer won. In France, Macron's party lost the vote, but it was divided. France is polarized, moving far left, moving far right. But there's clearly a rise of right wing parties in Europe, undoubtedly. But you can see what happened in Canada. Canada, the Liberals won, came back after having terrible performance, partly because of Trump, I think. Uh, Seven Savin says, but just recently in Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, US mentioned they want to increase cooperation with India in defense. If West is showing India why contradicting. I don't know, you're misreading what Pete Hegseth said. Pete Hegseth said that I want to get more engaged in the Indo-Pacific region. Remember, Indo-Pacific, the Indo is not India. In the Indo-Pacific strategy, in the Indo-Pacific dialogue, the Indo is the Indian Ocean. So they are talking from Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, not India to the Pacific Ocean. So Indo-Pacific strategy is a maritime view of the world that looks at both these oceans. The NATO strategy was transatlantic. It was about the Atlantic Ocean, of the countries on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. There is a transatlantic alliance also, especially with South American countries who are on who are on the Atlantic Ocean. And then there are some Latin American countries which are also on the Pacific Ocean. So Indo-Pacific means Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Ashok Sahu, did BJP send the delegation just to appease the opposition and get support from opposition? I don't see any other reason. No, I think Ashok Sahu, one of the things that everything that India is doing from a diplomatic perspective is to promote itself at home. And that is what they did. Like, why would you go to Guyana? Or why would you go to Colombia? Like, you care about what Colombia? Nobody does, really. They didn't go to Canada. They didn't go to China. Uh, are they going to Russia? Are they taking these countries for granted? You do diplomacy with those who disagree with you if you want to convince them. So I think, first of all, sending people who are not, look, many of the candidates from opposition parties with BJP selected were not endorsed by their own party. The Congress was against Shashi Tharoor going. So there's a lot of drama that is going on inside, and it conveys, everybody knows now all over the world that BJP has picked candidates which their parties didn't like. Trinamool Congress didn't like the person they were sending, and neither did Congress, and so on. So India does look divided even in its delegations. And lots of people have also noticed the hypocrisy of Modi, because every delegation is full of Muslims. There are so many Muslims in that, it's unbelievable. And some very famous one, Asaduddin Owaisi is in it, Salman Khurshid is in it, Sarfraz Ahmed is in it, and Ghulam Nabi Azad is also in it, MJ Akbar, Sayyid Akbaruddin. So very prominent Indian Muslims are there, but BJP's government does not have any Muslim representation at all. So while it may look good for domestic purposes, internationally it's not very. Look who's meeting. Who met Shashi Tharoor today? And Pakistan is getting a lot of attention. And go and look at Bilawal Bhutto's Twitter page. You can see he's meeting with senators. So senators are listening to his point of view. So he's going to make argument that India is promoting terrorism in Balochistan. India is killing people here and there. If he's very smart, he will say India is trying to kill people in your country, your citizen, tried to kill Gurpat Wan Panno, lied about it until evidence was produced. And they try to kill people in Canada. They are trying to do this in UK and Germany. And so there, I'm sure the Pakistanis are spinning their story and their narrative. India is also producing its narrative. India's narrative is a bit old, is nothing new. India said everything after the Mumbai attacks. There was a lot more evidence. I think one of the problems that India had is that it does not have those terrorists that attacked Pahalgam, and the evidence uh, was not presented to the world before Operation Sindoor. And I think the world said, look, you did not seek our approval. Maybe some countries might be upset with that. Some Khan, isn't India's actions disqualifying, and disqualifying from what? None of the other attending nations of the G8 are engaged in such activity. There is no G8, it's G7. Of course, many of these countries, I mean, the US does kill people overseas. The US has killed even US citizens overseas, but the US does not lie about it. So when the United States killed Osama bin Laden, uh, Donald President Obama came up and announced it. When Donald Trump killed General Soleimani, he announced it publicly, and so the United States takes credit for its extraterritorial killings. But when India did the same thing, and they point to the US and saying, "You're doing this," but India lies about it because India always said, "We didn't do it. We didn't do it. We didn't do it." So there's the comparison is not the same. The US does it, and the US says we did it. So there's a difference that uh, some Indian commentators don't seem to understand. Vivido, it's like the UN Security Council. Different countries are basically showing them the middle finger. Kind of, I guess. Proud Canadian, good riddance. Your channel was less content, more clown show, blindly dancing to Pakistan's tune while begging for Indian views. I don't know what you're talking about, proud Canadian. I don't know what that is all about, but that's all right. I wasted my time reading that. Uh, uh, Israel and US are two different countries, sir. The US, like I told you, all the major assassinations that the US has done, the US has taken credit for it, killing Ayman Zawahiri, killing the other guy who founded ISIS, who Al Qaeda Iraq. I forgot his name now. And the US has taken credit for killing all of those people. And it's not the same thing. I'm from Kashmir. I understand globally you need evidence, but being a local, I know how this is all sponsored by Pakistan. Good for you. But India chose also to make that kind of point. The meeting that they had in Delhi with people from different embassies, in which they said, we are just telling you that we are going to conduct an operation in Pakistan, a military strike against the terrorist groups. We are not seeking your approval. We are not seeking your support. We are just informing you that we are going to do this. And I did a whole show on that. You should go back and take a look at it. India said we are not going to make a case for this, which was very interesting. Uh, okay, so there are no more messages. So I will be happy to stop now. For those of you who uh, live in India and are also those, some of you have said that you like to hear me speak and talk about it in Hindi. I'll be happy. So at it's 11:04 now here US time. So 11:30 US time and 9 o'clock India time. I will be doing a conversation on the same topic but Hindi and Urdu. So you're welcome to watch that. Anyway, thank you very much for all of you for watching Conversations. Please like this video, press the bell icon, become subscribers, and also try to become members of Conversations. It is not a very expensive thing. Mm, and and that's it. I saw a comment about Indian economy. Bajwa, Indian economy depends upon the NRI's funds, just like Philippines. Not really, Bajwa. India's GDP is over $4 trillion. The foreign remittances is just 100 and $110 billion. It is the biggest in the world, but 100 $1 billion is nothing. They are just remittances which are sent home. And they sit in the bank. I'm not even sure whether they are counted in India's GDP. So India's GDP comes from its trade, which is about $1.6 trillion worth of trade, from its manufacturing, from its agriculture, from its IT services, which is very huge. India's IT exports are over 300 trillion billion dollars. So India's economy is doing reasonably well. It is the fastest growing economy in the world, 6.5%. You can go and see. I've done two shows on the Indian economy. For those who are watching in English, there's only one show that I did uh, based on data. But those who watch the Indian channel in Hindi and Urdu, you'll find that I have an interview with a very eminent economist, Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, who was also on India's Planning Commission and worked for the UN Development Program for several years. He's a professor and a very highly respected economist. So we discussed the Indian economy in that uh, conversation. And then after that, I did mm, a solo, just looking at the data. So you can see a lot of charts and a lot of graphs in my English commentary. The titles are India becomes the fourth biggest economy in the world, grows at 6.5%. And so take a look at it. You will get a lot of information, whether you agree with my opinions or not. But I'm sharing a lot of data, which if you wanted to collect for yourself, it will take you several hours. Some of the shows that I prepare for takes several hours to do. Like today's show took only 2 hours, but when I was doing the Indian economy, it took me 2 days to read up all and get all the data. The Indian government is not very good at releasing certain kinds of data, such as unemployment, and it was trying to hide the manufacturing rate, growth rate. Also, it was difficult to find it. So yes, so it takes some time. Some shows take a lot to prepare. Anyway, thank you for watching Conversations. Like I said, I will see you again tomorrow. And until next time, I'm your host Muqtedar Khan. Bye.